This tutorial is going to introduce you to a new part of Flash that we haven't talked about yet, and that is called ActionScript. A Flash really does multiple things. It's used for multiple purposes. One is animation, the other is web development. And ActionScript is used more in web development, but there are some great features about it that can be used in animation as well. If you think of your animations as these things that are just moving around on the stage, the ActionScript is really the thing that controls them and tells them when to start, when to stop. You'll notice that up to this point, the animations you create, they just loop over and over and over again. Unless you use ActionScript, you can't tell that animation to start or stop. Another time ActionScript is very valuable is when you're trying to replicate things. You're trying to do use animations multiple times. You want to do it randomly. It really adds a lot of flexibility to your animation. So let's give you your first intro to ActionScript, and we'll just do a very simple thing at first. There's two ways to use ActionScript. One is you can just put it in on the timeline where you want your animations to do certain things. The other option is you can enter it in at the beginning of a movie on the main timeline in frame 1. That's kind of the most common usage of it. And tell your movie to do certain things from the get-go. There's actually a third way, and that is at compile time to build classes, but that's more of an advanced feature of ActionScript that we really won't get into. But we'll get into controlling things in the timeline as animations are progressing, and we will also get into telling your animation to do things at particular times. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly create an animation here. I'm just going to duplicate this frame. A quick way to duplicate frames is you can just click on it, hold the Option key or the Alt key on a PC, and just copy it out, and you'll see the little plus sign next to the mouse. And then that frame is duplicated. I'm just going to make this a shape tween. Okay, and then let's say in this last frame, I want to make it bigger. Okay, so we've got our tween. Now, if we test that, it will just go over. It will just go over and over and over and over again. So we use ActionScript to tell that tween when to stop. So one way to do it is to just go ahead and in that frame enter a little ActionScript. But typically you want to keep your ActionScript in a separate layer so that you can tell where it is, you can find it easily. So I'm going to add a layer. So I'm going to call this box, add a layer here, and call this actions. Now, if I were just to add an action to this layer, open up my ActionScript palette. The ActionScript is available under Window and Actions, or I like to have it available here in Flash on a quick click there. Then all I do is type stop. Now, when you're telling Flash an action or a function, telling it to do something, you need to give it parameters, and that is held within curly braces. Now however, the stop action doesn't require parameters. It's a really simple action. So you just stop, open, close curly brackets, and a semicolon. Always end every action with a semicolon. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to hit Command Enter to publish. It didn't do anything because we actually stopped the animation on the first frame. So we want to move that action to the last frame. Okay, and put the keyframe there. Now let's see what happens. Command Enter to publish, not to publish but to test. And you can see that the animation has stopped. And this gives you a little bit of control over animation. Let's say we want it to stop and to play. So we go, let's say we want it to stop right about there, and then a couple frames later we want it to play. Okay, so let's add a keyframe there. let's add. So in this frame, let's open the actions. Okay, we want it to maybe skip these frames and go to this frame and play. So what you do is in the actions panel, and in this frame, you go to the actions panel again, and you would just type in go to and play. You'll notice the caps. Caps when you do actions in Flash and ActionScript, it's case sensitive, so you do have to do that. Then you just enter the frame number. So frame number, what do we want to go to? Probably 18, I think it is. And then end with a semicolon, and it should work. So what's going to happen if we publish this? It's going to, you see it skipped those few frames there. So we're using ActionScript to control how the movie plays. Then let's say we want to go in here and we'll add another keyframe, insert keyframe, and we will, in this keyframe, let's say we want it to stop again here. So we open the actions palette, and stop, open, close, and then the semicolon, and then publish. And you can see it stopped there instead of going to the end of the animation. So this is how you enter in controls for your animation within keyframes. Later on in the course we'll get into how to do things in kind of a first frame setting where you at the beginning of an animation you start populating different elements and things like that. So but this is basic controls using ActionScript. Play around with it a little bit, get used to this idea. You'll use this throughout Flash as you do animating. So it's an important thing to know and to understand. Thanks.